Hi, I'm Sherry Guzman, and I am here with EDAD 768A. The first question, in what ways does your school or district make decisions using relevant evidence and available research? Seems very pertinent during COVID times right now. So it is April 13th. No, it's not. It is March 30th today, 2021, and we are using relevant evidence and available research from the CDC, from our health department, anywhere we can find it, dealing with bringing our students back to campus. So on April 13th, we are bringing our 4th and 5th graders back on campus to a different schedule, 8 o'clock to 1:30. Just a little bit altered, but we were on a hybrid schedule with them, AM and PM, so we're going to be bringing them all together. The research and evidence told us that we could change our seating from 6 feet apart to 3 feet apart, so we're using that evidence in order to change the system that we're using for learning during a pandemic. Our middle school students, our school is a 4th through 8th grade. Our middle school students will remain on a hybrid model, AM/PM, based on the evidence and the research. So we are constantly looking at those things from the CDC and all other sources. Other places that we use relevant evidence and available research, I handle all of the state testing for our school and recently for our home-based independent study students. So I take that research and see what areas do we need to focus on, what areas do we need to reteach, and giving that data to our teachers and seeing how we can kind of go back to the learning loss that we've experienced during the pandemic and see how those tests can give us some answers. I was actually pleasantly surprised yesterday when I looked at our language arts scores from our 4th graders. These are students who never took a state test in 3rd grade, and it was their first one, and I was really impressed with how they did. So it was nice to tell their teachers that even with a hybrid model, these students are getting their learning back. How do you make decisions that model ethics, equity, and integrity as it pertains to the role of a leader as a change agent? This has been a tough one this year. Obviously, we do follow what our school board votes on, whether I agree with it or not. And there have been times where I don't necessarily agree. I'm also a parent in the district, so that can make my perspective a little bit different. But I think that my role as a leader is I need to communicate with our students, our staff, and our community and make sure that they know what changes are coming forth. And that's my integrity, is that whether or not, I put information on Facebook, I also am emailing parents. I've also taken the time to take our documents that we send home about any changes coming to our school, and I put it in Google Translate and get a Spanish version for our Spanish-speaking parents. So I can make sure that my role is to make sure everyone is informed and knows what's expected, because this year is the year of constant change. There's always something changing with the schedule, and that is really affecting our parents. And a lot of times in a negative way. A lot of them are scrambling to get daycare or their schedule is changing. And so being a listening ear and offering suggestions, alternatives, a lot of parents are asking for schedule changes that we actually can't accommodate. So trying to get them bus schedules and in contact with other people who might be willing to carpool and things like that. So I think that my decisions, I think about what is right for the community, and I do think of, I am a parent in the district, how would I want to be treated? So I think about that, and I think about making sure that parents who aren't English speakers are feeling that they are in the loop as well, especially in such a difficult time. How do you use reflective practice to examine your personal code of ethics? This year, I hope I never have to use reflective practice on how to operate a school during a pandemic ever again. But we thought when we went out of school last March that it would only be for a couple of weeks, and then it turned into a couple of months, and then it was a year. So using that, keeping the documents of how did we change our lunch schedule, our bus schedule, our student schedule, how did we make cohorts, how did we make it all work? And we did. We made it work, and we've been able to have students back twice. Our 6th or 8th graders came back in October, went back out in November, and came back in February, and we're still here. Still in the purple tier, and still have students on campus, and feeling safe, getting a lot of our teachers vaccinated. But I think the reflective practice for this year is, how are we flexible, and how can we make what we've always done adapted to what's going to work for our students, our staff, and our community. And that's a challenge. So I think that being able to sit down and say, okay, any change that comes our way, we're going to be able to deal with this. Whether we like it or not, it's going to happen. Change is going to come. So right now, what we often find ourselves saying is, well, when things are back to normal. But I don't know what normal is ever going to look like again. Are we ever going to have the same type of school schedule that we've kind of gotten in a routine about? So not that anything about the pandemic is nice, but this pandemic has forced us to be flexible, to make change. Teachers teaching completely different subjects, teachers teaching online. We didn't even know what Google Classroom was a year ago. So using that reflective practice to say, you know what, when a change comes our way, we need to just look at the year 2020 and 2021 and say, you know what, we can get through this. And we need to kind of look at things from a different perspective. It doesn't have to always be the same way it always was. And I think that is a challenge for a lot of people, especially veterans who have been around for a long time. So I would like to think that I can take the opportunities that we've been given, and we have been given many this last 2 school years, to reflect on, it is okay to get a curveball, and it's okay to make it work, and you're not going to make everybody happy. But as a leader, I can do it. Thanks.